Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, the place to get the best adoption advice and advocacy for children in need. Now in this video, I'm going to talk about mistakes that you're not even aware that you're making that are keeping you stuck in the adoption process. Now this video is not about obvious mistakes like giving your money to scammers or working with adoption professionals that are not very reputable. This video is going to be about non-obvious mistakes that a lot of you are making that nobody's really talking about. And so that's why this video is so special, because by the end of the video, you're definitely gonna walk away with something that you can change to help with your adoption process, no doubt. The first mistake that a lot of hopeful adoptive parents make are deciding to adopt within an age range such as 0 to 5. And even though it sounds really great because most people are just wanting to be flexible and they really are open to either a newborn or a toddler, that's usually folks that say 0 to 5, they're looking for a newborn or toddler age. The reason why that's a mistake is because most adoption professionals can only help you with one age group, such as a newborn or a toddler or an older child. So really practical what that looks like is if you really want to stick within that age range, is you're going to have to end up working with multiple adoption professionals. And a lot of people don't understand that when they say 0 to 5, they're thinking I can just go to an agency or what other type of professional, tell them that I'm open to this age range and I'll just be able to get anything within that age range. That's not how it works in the adoption world. So what ends up happening is you'll need to work with an adoption professional that can only help you with newborns, and then you'll need to work with another adoption agency that can help you with an older child. Most professionals, like I said, do not do age ranges, okay? So that's the first mistake that a lot of hopeful adoptive parents make. And what happens is that when they start working with adoption professionals, they realize a little bit too late after they've already given thousands of dollars to that agency that actually we really can't do an age range. We have to pick which age, okay? So that's really important to understand. An age range, even though it sounds really great, and it's great that you're flexible with that, reality-wise, that's not how it actually turns out when you're going through the adoption process. So mistake number 2 that I see a lot of hopeful adoptive parents make is looking only within their own state to adopt. So let's say you live in Missouri. Naturally, when you Google how to adopt, you're gonna say, domestic adoption in Missouri, or how to adopt in Texas, or how to adopt a newborn in, I don't know, some other state, right? You naturally look into your own state when you're wanting to adopt. But that's actually a big mistake that hopeful adoptive parents make, because not every single state is adoption friendly. So take the example of my state here where I live, which is Nebraska. In Nebraska is just not very adoption friendly for several reasons. One of the main reasons is because most pregnant moms that find themselves pregnant, they choose to abort their children versus place their babies for adoption, which is just so heartbreaking, right? But what happens here in Nebraska is, let's say you have 50 hopeful adoptive parents waiting with an agency with their profiles and everything ready to go. And let's say you've got, 10 pregnant moms who went through pregnancy centers this year, and only one of those moms decides to place their baby for adoption based on just what we have here for our ratio. Well, that means that now you've got 50 hopeful adoptive parents waiting for this one baby. And that's why in Nebraska, the wait is always really long. It was long before COVID and it's still long now because unfortunately, most moms here choose to abort their children versus place them for adoption. So this is why I say it's a mistake to look only in your state, because what you want to really find out is whether your state is adoption friendly. And what I mean by that is, are there opportunities for you to actually adopt? Are you in a state like Nebraska where you're not going to get a lot of opportunities, right? Are you willing to wait 3.5 years to maybe get matched with a mom? Or do you want to look in other states where more moms are actually placing their babies for adoptions versus aborting them? Because obviously in a state like that, you're going to get more of a chance to actually get matched, and where you're spending your money actually matters, right? So that's one of the mistakes that I see people make all the time, is not looking outside of their states. And a lot of that is because they don't know how to, or they didn't know that they could, or it's like, well, how do I know which states are adoption friendly? One tip that I give people is you can call the pregnancy centers in your state, and if they'll release that information to you, I don't know if they will or not, but you can try to find out, the percentage of pregnant women who come through the pregnancy centers, how many of them actually end up with abortion versus placing their babies for adoption. And that's a really good indicator for most states to find out whether it's worth your time to even look in that state or not. Mistake number 3 is choosing an adoption professional to work with based on social media recommendations or just researching on Google. Now, social media and Google obviously is a great place for you to research. I mean, Google is the main way that anybody researches nowadays. But what's happening is that the information that you can find on adoption online and on social media is very limited, and it can actually be very confusing and overwhelming when you have all these kind of different informations being thrown at you and not really knowing which one is the right thing to follow. And just because one agency or consultant worked with one family does not necessarily mean that it's going to work for you. And I've had tons of clients that have contacted me where they're working with an agency because they heard it from a friend of a friend, or a family member used to work with that agency and they were able to adopt successfully, and so they just went with that agency. And a lot of times what happens is that they realize a little bit too late that, man, this adoption professional shouldn't have been the one that I chose. But by that time, they're so deep in the process that it's so hard for them to try to, shift gears because they've already spent thousands of dollars and now they feel like we're kind of stuck with this adoption professional. And it doesn't have to be that way. You really want to find an adoption professional that is going to work with your unique family, because every single family is different. Your family is unique. So your friend, right, the dynamics of their family and what made them unique is not the same as yours. So maybe that's why that agency worked well for them. Maybe that's why they were able to match quickly through that agency. But with your family's needs and your family's uniqueness, it may be a different professional that's going to work best with how you can actually grow your family through adoption. So this mistake has actually cost hopeful adoptive parents thousands of dollars in time. And like I said, it doesn't have to be that way. If you want to learn more about how to choose the adoption professionals that have your best interests in mind, and also my best strategies about how to adopt much faster without wasting years and thousands of dollars, I have a paid program called the Adoption Success Accelerator, where I teach you how to do just that. So make sure to click the link in the description box and also in the comments to apply for the program. It's absolutely going to accelerate your adoption success, just like it did for these folks here. So again, click on the link in the description box to apply for the program, or click in the link in the comment section to apply and to learn how to choose the adoption professionals that have your best interest in mind and how to adopt much faster while saving years and thousands of dollars. All right, mistake number 4 that a lot of hopeful adoptive parents make is not properly vetting the adoption professionals that they call. So a lot of times, parents will call these, professionals, and they'll ask questions like, what is your success rate? Or, how many clients do you have waiting to be matched? Or how many birth moms contact you on a regular basis? And the thing with asking a question like, what is your success rate, is that question is actually subjective to the professional that you're talking to, because they base their success rates on different data than what you're thinking. Most people, when they call professionals and they say, what is your success rate? What they're talking about is how many people have actually adopted successfully from your organization. And a lot of the professionals don't look at their success rates that way. Some professionals will look at the success rate as just how many people they matched within that month or within that year versus how many of those matches actually turned into a successful adoption, okay? So asking questions like that doesn't really help you see a good picture of the professional. And so when you don't ask the right questions and you don't properly vet these professionals, you can also really get yourself in a tiff with these professionals, and then, a few months later regret picking that professional in the first place. So how do you actually properly vet these professionals so that you really know what you're getting yourself into and you're very comfortable giving them your money? Well, you really want to ask them questions to where you can tell that they're experienced, that they know what they're doing, and that everything they're doing is legal, and that they can actually really help you, right? And that they're not going to take your money and then you're going to hear crickets for the next few months, right? But they're going to be keeping in touch with you, letting you know what's going on. So asking a question like, what is your vetting process for birth mothers, right? You want to know, like, where are they getting these, how are these birth moms contacting you, where are they coming from? Because that also reduces the scams when you know their process for vetting birth moms who are contacting them. And another great question to ask is, What information do you require a birth mother, to give to show proof of pregnancy? And as you all probably know, there's so much scam right now on Facebook and social media about, quote unquote, fake birth moms who are contacting adoptive parents and saying, hey, I'm pregnant. But then when it's time to actually, get an adoption professional, get a lawyer and go to the doctor to get scans and stuff, they disappear. But by the time they disappear, you've already given them all this money because some of them are even faking like scans from the doctor. It's really, really sad. So understanding how these professionals are actually vetting these moms and how they know for sure that this is a real pregnancy and this is a real mom who really is looking for an adoptive parent is something that you want to know, because it's also going like I said, reduce the amount of headache that it's going to give you if this professional is like all the calls they get are just scammers and they don't know how to sift between them, and you just get matched with one and now you're stuck with it. Mistake number 5 is hiring an adoption professional too soon. So what I see a lot is hopeful adoptive parents, like when they're on social media and you're kind of searching and you're figuring out what to do. Like I said, they'll find, recommendations for an agency, consultant, a lawyer, or whatever. And the first thing they'll do is go hire that person, right? And then the next thing they'll do is maybe then do their home study. That is a big mistake, because a lot of times what happens is that if you don't know the type of adoption that you're even wanting to pursue in the first place, so you're still kind of wavering, it's really, really hard, because if you choose an adoption professional for a specific type of adoption, but then you change your mind later, you just wasted a lot of money. So what do I mean by the type of adoption? What I mean is knowing for sure, like, are you going to adopt a newborn? Is that for sure the route you want to take? Are you wanting to adopt from foster care, which is usually adopting an older child, toddler, and older? Or are you wanting to look internationally? So you have to be really clear about what you're okay with, what you're not okay with. Because let's say you decide that you want to work with a foster care agency, for example. You want to adopt from foster care. That's your heart. That's your desire. Well, that eliminates a lot of options for you as far as professionals go. If you're going to adopt from foster care, you basically have to work with a foster care agency. You really don't have any other choices, right? Because a lawyer can't help you usually adopt from foster care. Only foster care agencies can do that because they're public agencies. So, but if you want to adopt a newborn, right? Now you've got all these choices for professionals. You can use an agency, public or private. You can use a consultant. You can use a lawyer. You can even self-match, right? But if you're adopting from foster care, you can't just self-match. It doesn't work like that because the kids are in the foster care system. And so it has to go through the whole system. So a lot of times people will jump in and say, oh, I'm sure I want to adopt a newborn, because they've never even considered adopting an older child that actually be what's best for their family. And so they pay these agencies all this money. And then a few years later, they're like, man, I guess we don't really need to adopt a newborn. We really could give a good home to a child who's a little bit older. And again, by that time, it's a little bit too late to change because they've already invested so much in that professional and they really can't get their money back most of the time. So that's mistake number 5 that I see a lot of hopeful adoptive parents make. And so to solve that issue, being very clear about the type of adoption that you want to do, and before you even start looking at adoption professionals, is really going to help you so that when you do invest with that adoption professional, you are confident that your money is going towards where you want it to be. All right, guys, so far you've learned about 5 non-obvious mistakes that a lot of you are making that you don't even know that are really keeping you stuck in the adoption process. So will you comment below? Let me know which mistake really resonated with you the most. And also make sure to apply for my adoption program if you want to know how to choose the adoption professionals that have your best interest in mind, and also learn my best strategies about how to adopt much faster without wasting years or thousands of dollars. You can again click the link in the description box below or in the comments to apply. If you like this video, make sure that you click that like button. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and share with your friends. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.